descriptive list. Now when we are going to use this descriptive list, I'll show it to you practically. Before that, let's understand the theory behind this descriptive list. So the descriptive list is used to provide descriptions to the items listed. Suppose you are displaying some set of items in HTML with the help of ordered list, or let's say with the help of unordered list, and you realize that you should specify some description of those items listed. At that point of time, what you can do, you can use something called as descriptive list. So the descriptive list is used to provide description to the items listed. Now for descriptive list, you are going to use tag named as DL. Okay, so guys, DL is the tag which we are going to define for description list. Okay, and in this DL tag, we are going to use this DT tag which defines the items in the list. So DL tag defines the description list, DT tag defines the items in the list. Okay, and guys, one more tag we are going to use over here, and the name of that tag is DD, which defines the description of the tag. Let me show you a quick example of it. It will going to give you a clear understanding of descriptive list. Suppose here you need to specify these two items in an HTML page, let's say coffee and milk. But you realize that you need to specify some description as well. That what is the purpose of coffee, what is the purpose of milk. So here you can use descriptive list. So guys, always remember descriptive list you are going to start with the DL tag. Then you are going to use DT, in which you can specify the items of your list. And if you want to provide definition or some description of those items in the list, you can use DD tag. So you are going to write this HTML piece of code, and in return you will be going to have this output. So coffee, black hot drink, milk, white cold drink. So if you want to specify a little bit description of your item listed, you can use descriptive list of HTML. Now let me show you a practical example of it. Okay, so guys, here I'm using one HTML file. So here I'm going to give it a title as list, h2 tag, and guys, this time we are going to understand something called as descriptive list. So guys, here in this h2 tag, I'm going to write descriptive list. Now, one by one, I would like to explain you. First of all, whenever you are going to use a descriptive list, you are going to use the parent tag named as DL. Okay, so this is the tag which you are going to use. Now guys, suppose you want to display some set of items. In order to display those items, you are going to use DT. Okay, here you can write like say HTML. Then this is going to be my another element which I want to display, let's say Java. Then I will be using one more element, let's say JavaScript. Okay, and here I will be using one more set of item named as SQL. So guys, if you want to display these set of items in your HTML, then you can use DT. But somehow you realize that I should specify some description of all the items as well. Okay, if you want to specify the description of all the item listed, here you can use something called as DD. Okay, and using DD tag you can specify the description of your list of items. So let's say in HTML I'm going to write, let's say is a markup language. Okay, here I'm going to write is a markup language. I am going to provide some description to Java as well. For description we will be using DD. Is a programming language. Okay, here I'm going to write is a programming language. For JavaScript I need to provide some description, let's say it is a scripting language. Okay, and for SQL I am going to write, or I'm going to write this description is a query. Okay, so So now guys, if I save this, okay, let me show you the output of it. So you can see this is how you will be going to have the final layout of your descriptive list. So this is how you are going to create a descriptive list in HTML. This information you are going to specify in DT, and the description you are going to specify in DD. So you just need to understand this hierarchy and you are good to go. So descriptive list starts with the DL tag. Okay, items you can specify in DT and description you can specify in DD. So you can see that the DD element represent the description, definition or the value. Okay, and where on DT element represent the items or the terms or the names, and this TL is used for creating a descriptive list. Okay, so guys, here we are done with our list. Now certain points I would like to discuss with you. Okay, so the main important point, see, we are learning HTML5. Okay, and guys, in HTML5 this type attribute is obsolete. I am recommending you not to use this type attribute like this. If we are using HTML5, so we are going to use HTML5, we are going to design our project in HTML5. So in order to change these symbols, let's say we know that the default one is going to be bullet. We can use circle, we can use a square. So if you want to use square or if you want to use circle, please don't use this approach because this approach is obsoleted in HTML5. Then how we can change the list of items? Suppose I want circle. So guys, here we can use CSS. Okay, so you can use what? You can use CSS. So guys, please try to note it down that the type attribute is not supported in HTML5. Instead of type attribute, we can use CSS property. Okay, and how we can use it, I'll show it to you. Here you can use UL style is equal to list. Okay, so this is the CSS property which you are going to use, and the name of that property is list style type. Okay, and what kind of value you want to specify to your list. So you can see that we have lots of values. Okay, so guys, here I'm going to use, let's say, square. Okay, so this is the valid approach which you need to use in HTML5. So don't use this type attribute because this type attribute is obsolete. Instead of this, you can use CSS property, and the name of that CSS property is list style type, and this is square is what, it's a value. Now what will happen if I paste these element? Let me click on save. I'll show you the output in browser. So you can see that your output will remain same. But this is the approach which you need to follow in HTML5. So please use this CSS property and this value if you want to change the look and feel of your unordered list. So instead of you start using this type attribute, use this style attribute, and in this style attribute use this CSS property and value.